Hey everybody, Wayne here. In today's video, we will be doing a tutorial playthrough of the Grass Crown Battles of the Roman Republic, designed by Amabel Holland, published by Hollandspiele. This is a recent release, the most recent release from Hollandspiele as of filming this video. This game has 10 battles of the Roman Republic. Basically, it covers their development from 300-ish BC to around, what is the latest one? Basically, well, the end of the Roman Republic before it becomes the Roman Empire. So there's 10 battles, and this game uses the Shields and Swords Ancient system, originally released with It or On It, a game that covers Greek Peloponnesian War style combat, phalanxes, that sort of thing. This game will start off in the battles with, kind of the Roman legions, Roman soldiers versus phalanxes. And as time goes by, obviously you see the evolution of both the Romans and the foes they are facing. So this will be a tutorial playthrough. So I will have, design diagrams popping up, charts popping up, things like that to make it easier for you guys to follow along and learn the game as I go. So it'll be a slow one because I'm gonna cover as much of the battle as I can. I don't know if it'll be the full playthrough of a battle here. I'll explain which one it is in a second, but I'll do as much as I can, but I definitely just want to kind of teach the game to you guys, so that'll take a second. I do have a recon or unboxing video to check out the game if you want to look at that, and then I will have a overview and review as well. So, trying to think here. So before we dive in, this game is as you can see, it uses squares. I almost said hex and counter. It's a square and counter game. It is basically an I go, you go style game. It's not a solitaire game directly. It doesn't have a solitaire bot or anything like that. You have to play both sides. However, I find it super easy to play this type of game. I also play, simple Great Battles of History quite a bit. That's also, I go, you go. You just basically take turns with obviously the caveat of maybe like seizing a turn type of thing. This has a similar system called the initiative system where you can like seize it to basically go twice in a row. But other than that, you do play both sides, but I find it works totally fine. Not a problem doing that. So I think that covers the basics. Let's dive in and I'll explain kind of the scenario setup. I will cover setup and then we'll dive into actual how the game plays. All right, before we dive into the actual playthrough, the command system, which I will explain as we start the playthrough, let's just take a look at kind of the map and the units quick. So the map here and the setup I have is the Battle of Pharsalus, 48 BCE. So Pompey the Great, Caesar, kind of the last big battle. Well, it was the last big battle involving Pompey anyway. Caesar did have more battles during, the Civil War that he had to fight before he could really become the winner. But in reality, this is what broke it. This is what ended with Pompey's defeat, him, running away in disgrace, putting on plain clothes and fleeing to Egypt. So, and then being murdered. So it's a great battle, I think, to show off the game. It doesn't include the elephants, but other than that, it's kind of a classic. You have Roman, legions versus Roman legions. You have some cavalry, as you can see, they're called mounted units. So you have foot units, mounted units, and let's go ahead and look at a couple here. And like I said, I'm also going to have some pop-ups. You should be seeing that now, where you're going to be able to get, kind of pulled from the rule book, right? Pulled from the player aids. So whether you're looking at what I'm showing you or you're looking at the pop-up, I don't care. As long as you learn the game, that's my goal here, right? Is to help you guys learn the game and kind of also, if you haven't learned it yet or if you haven't even picked it up and you're wondering, get a good idea of how the game works. So here we have, foot units and mounted units. Obviously, we have different infantry and horses. So how does this work? It's all pretty simple. Everything is on the counter. You can see there's not a lot of information on the counter, but everything that's on it is important and is very clear. So you have something as simple as, you see let's look at the infantry on the bottom here. Top left, heavy infantry, H, L, light infantry, light infantry. You can see the different types then. So unlike With It or On It, which had just black silhouettes, this game has actual artwork, which I really appreciate. I like it a lot more than just the black silhouettes. The black silhouettes look good for us, I feel like a couple minutes, right? Look kind of snazzy, like, ooh, kind of sleek. And then as you start playing, you're like, well, just black silhouettes fighting black silhouettes. This one, I really like that they have color units. So you're seeing, more of, hey, look, this is a heavy infantry, legionary, looks good. Same thing with light. Okay, he's not quite as armored, and light here more of a, you know, barbarian, Gaul force, etc. Horses, you have them here as well. Cavalry, which you have the C up here. So heavy infantry, light infantry, light infantry. The C for cavalry. With the units, especially the foot units here, you are seeing a combat class in the top right. So B, C, A. So what it'll be is it'll go from a star system, which is basically a hero, which I thought I had one in my hand here to show you guys quick, but I cannot find one. Geez. Sorry, guys. I really wanted to have one to show you guys. My apologies. Apparently there aren't none left. Here you go. So, here you go. He looks the same as any other unit. Heavy infantry, a B combat class. But when you flip him over, becomes an H, shows that he's a hero. In the old system, that was a leader. He has a star. So the combat class system, and again, I'll have it pop up for you guys so you guys can see, is part of the combat results table. Goes from the star, again, hero unit, A, B, C, D. What you're going to have is you're going to have all your full strength units generally at the start of a battle. You're not going to know where your heroes are. In addition, you're not going to know if a unit can be exhausted, which means you flip it over and it has one stripe, which means it remains, but it's exhausted, or it takes a hit and you flip it over and it's brittle. It doesn't become brittle, it is brittle. That unit with 2 stripes is immediately removed. So you're not 100% sure what the strength of your line is. You have an idea of how many brittle or exhausted units you're going to have ahead of time, but once you're actually playing and they're set up, it's kind of randomized. Another thing that really helps with playing at solitaire. So again, you know, exhausted, brittle. Cavalry, what you're going to have is you're going to have a number of the diamonds here. No diamonds, 1 diamond, 2 diamonds, and that's going to dictate how many dice you're going to roll when you're making a charge with them. The last thing left on the counter is the bottom left. You can see the morale rating. So for when you have veteran units, which is a special rule that may or may not affect a certain combat, you're going to have, instead, when they roll for rout, which is to see if, hey, they're kind of separated from their comrades, are they going to rout and flee the battle, or doing a rout check? They also will roll, they'll actually check that before the route check, just to make sure basically, hey, or maybe after the route check. Either way, basically it's an extra insurance policy saying, hey, they're a veteran unit. Just because they're separated doesn't necessarily mean they're going to rout from the battle. So those are the actual units. And we'll explain them and kind of you'll see more detail as we play, right? You'll understand a little better what all of it means. But right now, we have, excuse me, my apologies. The Battle of Pharsalus is set up here, 48 BCE. I've already done the setup. You can see, and it'll be Pompey will be up here, the top of your screen. The bottom will be Caesar's forces. If you have any familiarity with the Battle of Pharsalus, you know, it was wasn't even at all. Pompey had more, which you can see. He has more legionaries. He also has more cavalry here, right? More horses. But Caesar will have actually kind of stronger, more experienced men. And you can see he has that line, that quote-unquote hidden line, right, of infantry that he had behind the horses. So it's all set up like that. You have the river here on the flanks of the units. It gets impassable, so no moving through the river or anything like that. So that kind of sets up the flank. And that's part of there's terrain tiles, remember from the unboxing, you have different terrain tiles depending on the battle. So that's a nice new thing from the game here versus the original game or with it or on it that didn't have any sort of terrain tiles. When you do the setup here, there's going to be a bunch of things that come into it. So the map will tell you, the actual playbook will tell you, okay, set up this many units. And it's going to tell you how many heroes go on each side. And for right now, I'm not, actually, you know what? I'll go ahead and have that pop up on the screen just so you guys can see that. You can see things like, okay, it tells you, hey, 12 in the green wing. And by the way, that's what the color is. So the color will attach them to a certain wing. So as you can see, the graphic popping up on the screen right now, starting at the top side there, looking at Pompey's forces. And you can see the infographic in the top right of near his, and then the bottom right for Caesar. You have, 12 green, 12 blue, 12 purple, and then the 12 cavalry, right? So, and the stars are going to tell you how many heroes are in there. So when you kind of look back and forth, you can see there are more units, right? There are more infantry on Pompey's side. But if you look, you can see that there are more heroes on, more of, like the leader units, right? The stronger, more resilient units on Caesar's side. In addition, you can see that There is on the infographic there, it'll tell you a bunch of different information. And the other thing I was going to tell you about that was that when you do the setup on this particular battle, for each of Caesar's foot wings, you actually remove 2 brittle units from the mix at setup before drawing from the cup. Because setup, it's in the rule book, so I'm not going to cover it. It's super simple. Basically, you throw all the units, that are appropriate into a cup, mix them up, draw, and place. And that's how you're going to get them kind of randomized, right? Well, you're actually taking out some of the brittle units. So again, in this particular battle, Caesar's units are going to be stronger. His wings will be stronger, right? They're not going to have those brittle units that as soon as they're flipped, they're eliminated. Now, we look at the graphic there. The graphic, and I'll show kind of the generic one. It's going to have numbers on there, little icons. It's, at first, you're like, what does all this mean? Super simple. As you're looking at it, you can see it's going to be things like, excuse me, who has initiatives in the top right, top left, first turn, who has initiative, who carries the initiative marker, which allows you to do the 2 turns in a row, who has the Fortuna marker, which allows you to re-roll dice rolls, although you do use it up and it goes to the opponent. What your side's skirmish factor is, higher the better. And then what the VPs are required for you to win, both higher than. So for example, if it says 30 plus 5, you need at least 30, but you have to be 5 greater than your opponent. Or you'll see a final VP number, maybe 45, which means once you get to 45, you win. Also, there's a special rules, the little icons on the bottom. So for Battle of Pharsalus, we don't have the three lines because it's past that, right? This is towards the end of the Roman Republic. You have the triplex ACs, or however you pronounce it. My apologies to the Latin speakers out there. But what you have for this particular battle with Pompey and Caesar, all 3 of them, at least at start, will have combined arms, which is the C, V, which is veteran units, and M, which is the Marian rule, which I will explain as we go. So I think that covers it for setup. That was a long explanation. Sorry, guys. I didn't mean to go 10 minutes on the explanation, but I just want to set everything up. I'm really trying to explain this game well. Spoiler alert, I like it. Obviously, I like the with it or on it. I'm enjoying this one. It's a Roman game. What can I say? I'm a sucker for them. But I just want to explain everything very well. Let's go ahead and dive into the actual start of the gameplay. How about that? All right, we're beginning the gameplay. The last bit about the scenario here, the Pharsalus, Battle of Pharsalus. So I mentioned the rivers are impassable. Caesar's legions are a little bit stronger, right, because they don't have as many of the brittle units in there. Also, there's a couple other things, and it's tied into the command phase, which I will explain literally in a minute here. Pompey does not start with the Aquila marker. Also, when Pompey scores a hit on a skirmish, Caesar actually can choose any of the foot units to take the exhaustion, even one from a different wing. That's not normally how it works. In addition, this is kind of a very special role for this scenario. The 4th line, it's called. Caesar's orange wing, which you can see the infantry here, and then remember his infantry that he had hidden behind the cavalry. They cannot be activated until and unless Caesar declares the initiative, which remember, the initiative is when you go ahead and say, I'm going to take basically a 2nd turn in a row, and you hand the initiative marker to your opponent. Once Caesar does that, you remove all of Caesar's cavalry from play. They're not eliminated, by the way. They don't score VPs for Pompey. You also eliminate all of Pompey's cavalry without diamond symbols. So remember, we have some without them, some with them, 1, 2, whatever. So you'd be eliminating a bunch of these. You'd only have the ones with diamond symbols left. And then for the remainder of the game, Caesar's orange wing, it always activates for the same commands as the wing to which other commands are issued. So say I did a skirmish and move on the pink wing here. Caesar's orange wing would also be able to do a skirmish and move. So anyway, also Pompey no longer has combined arms. I know it's like, wait, what's all this stuff? I know there's a lot to cover. The game is not complicated at all, but you're learning a tactical system, right? There's going to be different rules for different things. So what combined arms is, and remember that's part of those like 3 special rules I mentioned on the little icon, little graphic, a C, a V, and an M. Combined arms means when you give an order to any of your foot wings, you can give a move order to your cavalry. That's what that means. So Pompey has it at first, he loses it later. All right, let's go ahead and dive in, and I'll explain as we go. So starting off the game, you start off with the command phase. This is where you issue commands to your side, to your wing or wings. So you see we have all these command markers here. In this case, it's Pompey's turn, but we'll kind of explain them quick. The interesting thing about this game is that you are limited in the commands you can give depending on what that command is. So what does that mean? It means you cannot do things like a move and attack on the same turn. Because, so we look at our little commands here, right? Little command counters. And you have symbols on the side. Now, the Aquila, right? The eagle, that is the one that is kind of the special wild card that allows sort of a either more efficient attack or allows you to give, a more efficient command, I should say, more powerful command, or combining giving the same command to all the wings, or you have the actual commands themselves. You have a rally, right? So it looks like the flag, rally around the flag, right? You flip it over, you have skirmish on the backside, right? So this is the, throwing the pila, right? And then you have, obviously, gladius. This would be for just regular combat. If you flip it over, you have, well, a little icon looks like marching, right? Like moving, and that's what that is, a move. Well, so if you notice, say, move and combat, they're on the opposite sides. You cannot use them the same turn. Same thing with skirmish and rally. You can't do them on the same turn. So, for example, we're starting off this game, and Pompey has initiative, which means the first turn anyway. And he doesn't have the initiative marker. It's a little confusing for a second. He gets to go first. Let's just say that, right? Okay, so remember though, he does not have his own Aquila marker. So he loses out a bit on that. In fact, a lot. That'll come into play a lot as we go through this playthrough here. So he has his 2 command markers. He can play whatever combination he feels appropriate, but there's some commands you just can't do. So let's dive into it. So he says, all right, I want to kind of inflict some damage here on Caesar's forces, and I have more men, so I'm not too worried about it. Let's go ahead. You don't need to do a rally because all your units are nice and fresh right now. No one's exhausted. So he's going to let's do skirmish. Pompey says he wants to do a skirmish. So you have a little pila there. And he's going to do, and he can't, this is another command if he wanted. Would either be combat or move. Well, he doesn't have, there's no combat, no one's adjacent or anything like that. So he's just going to do a move. And he's going to go ahead and send those commands or assign those commands to the green wing. Now, as Caesar, with the Aquila marker, he can kind of do things a little differently. He can do a powered version of one of the 8 commands, or he could assign those commands to the entire army, basically. But that's on Caesar's turn. Pompey, unfortunately for him, does not have that command advantage that Caesar does. And that's, well, representing this battle, right? Like, how did Caesar win if he was outnumbered and all these, and even though it seems like they should have been the same forces, because they really weren't. Caesars were more experienced, and he had some command advantages just by being Caesar. So, all right. And the limitations that Pompey had, right, based on the Senate behind him and the things that they were telling him and all these things. So, all right. So let's go ahead. The first one of the game, right? So sequence play, you give your commands. Excuse me. Pompey is going ahead and giving a skirmish move command to the green wing. So what does that mean? So he's going to conduct, and then when you do the sequence of play, you just give your commands, and then depending on the commands that are active, you run through them. So it'll be like a skirmish phase if you picked skirmish. There's not always a skirmish phase. A rally phase, well, there's no rally, so there's not going to be one. Move, which there will be. Combat, there won't be one. So skirmish phase first. What is skirmish? How do you do skirmish? I'm sure you guys figured it out, right? You have the pila here. You are basically, you're throwing them. And it also abstractly represents there were light units, auxiliaries. There were probably archers, maybe slingers. Who knows, right? There were light type infantry. As you're looking at the board here, you're seeing just, basically the heavy infantry and some cavalry. Well, those weren't the only, right? This Battle of Pharsalus did not have literally just heavy infantry, legionaries, and that's it. There were light units, there were auxiliaries. So they're kind of abstracted out. That allows the game to be playable, and you can play a full battle in, I don't know, once you're familiar with the rules, an hour and a half maybe. So anyway, so the skirmish basically is a combination of, whether you want to say it's the pila from the Roman infantry, or more of like archers, slingers, whatever they happen to have. That it's ranged attack. Now, how it works for skirmish, every wing, and pay attention to this one because it can be a little confusing at first, but it's not confusing overall. Every wing has a skirmish zone, every foot wing anyway, so the infantry, not the cavalry, has a skirmish zone extending 3 squares out from their units. So with the green here, it's extending out to here. That is not the range. That is not, you have to be in that to get hit by skirmish. In fact, it's kind of the opposite. If you're in that, you actually get hurt more. But what it means is they have that at start. As long as that skirmish zone is active, they can conduct skirmish commands, and they can go ahead and, conduct range attacks against opposing wings. What can they aim at? They can aim at any wing, any enemy wing that is in front of them that they can trace a direct line from one of their units. So in this case, they're all lined up nice, right? Every wing is lined up pretty nice. So you can see, it's basically these guys, these guys, these guys, right? So we activated the green wing, so they can only shoot here at the red wing. With the skirmish, when they get within 3, as soon as they enter that third, the 1, 2, 3, right? 3 away, whoever moves into it, you have to stop there. You can't keep moving if you have movement left. In addition, once either side, right, because you're within both sides skirmish zones at that point, does a skirmish, if you get a hit, it actually exhausts 2 units, not just 1. So kind of as you're close, right, that range fire is more effective the closer you are. So how do you conduct skirmish? Green wing has the skirmish command against the red wing. He's going to go ahead and roll a 1d8. Now you check the little infographic, and I'll have it pop up here. You can see the for Pompey, it's a 4, and for Caesar, it's a 3. So Caesar was a little less effective on the skirmish. Pompey's a little more effective. What you do, you roll a 1d8. You add that skirmish factor, which for Pompey's a 4. Let's go ahead and roll. Excuse me. 3 plus 4 is 7. Unfortunately for Pompey, that is not a hit. So if you get an 8 plus, so as you can see with Pompey, because he has the 4 skirmish factor, right, he only needs to roll a 4 or higher on the 1d8. So about 50% of the time, he's going to have a successful skirmish roll. You get an 8 plus, it's going to go ahead and Caesar has to exhaust a unit. Remember, Caesar has the special rule where you can actually pick any foot wing, foot unit to exhaust. Normally, it would be you get to pick any unit from that wing. However, for Pompey, he missed anyway, so it doesn't matter. Now the move. How movement works, pretty simple, right? You're moving. As a foot unit, you can move forward, left, right. You cannot move back. Also, you can really only move where you can't move past where the enemy units are. So you can't get behind them per se. You can flank them, but you can't get behind them just because you can't advance past where they are. Also, when it comes to movement, it's kind of an interesting system. What it is that if the first command given to a wing is movement, they get to move 4 squares. If it's the second command, in which case it's the second command, right? Because skirmish was the first, movement is the second, because it's carried out in a specific sequence of play. Command phase, skirmish, rally, move, combat. Because it's the second, they actually only get to move 2 squares. And that goes for all the different foot units. So that shows that, which makes sense, right? If you are spending time, skirmishing, you're not going to be able to move as far. Versus if you commit to a movement, you're going to get to go ahead and move farther. So we did our skirmish, now let's do our movement. We get to move 2 squares. So Pompey's green wing of legionaries will go ahead and move 2 squares each. You move each unit 1 at a time. I know, very exciting watching me move counters. But there you go. So they get to move up, and that is the move phase for them. All right, I almost missed the combined arms ability for Pompey to activate his cavalry. I just remembered just as he was ending his turn. I do not want to miss that. So basically, he does his commands. Remember, they have a combined arms special ability here. Both Caesar and Pompey do, at least at the beginning. Pompey activated his green wing with a skirmish and move, and now he gets to do a move command to his cavalry. He's going to get to do that all the way until, remember, Caesar does the initiative and activates his orange wing, which will then take away the combined arms ability of Pompey. So let's go ahead and activate the cavalry then for their move. They don't have any special abilities other than move, because what they do is when they're moving adjacent to an enemy, that's when there will be a charge and they will engage in combat. But they don't have a separate combat, they just have move. So they're gonna go ahead and start moving. They can each move 4 squares. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if you look here, if you get within 4, so this is 4 away, so technically it's 5, right? Because he's on the 5th square. So from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But once he's tried to, say he tried to move here, which he can't because he doesn't have enough movement points, but say that worked. That was a legal move. You could intercept with this cavalry if I wanted, right? Caesar could go ahead and have his cavalry intercept. It's a way to make sure that, their cavalry are reacting to their cavalry without, well, it's his turn. I'm just going to sit here and not go. No, there's going to be kind of an intercept part of it. All right, so let's go ahead and move them. And they're just going to move 4. So we're going to kind of start moving out a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then move there. And we'll just go ahead and we'll move them all up as one block for now. I think that Pompey's definitely going to spread them around a little bit in a minute next when he gets the next opportunity. All right. So now we are done with the movement for the cavalry. So that finishes up the command phase, part of the command phase, and then the different movement phases and such, different commands that are given. Let's go ahead. You do the victory phase. There's no VP points scored, so no worries there. And then you go to the initiative phase. Pompey doesn't have the initiative marker. Caesar does, so it doesn't apply. All right, let's go over to Caesar. His turn now. Okay, so Caesar has a couple options here. Remember, he cannot activate the orange wing at all until he sees, something happen where he wants to use his initiative marker, which will then start activating the orange wing. So for now, he's just going to go ahead and he will activate the red wing here. He is going to give, and I guess I shouldn't use that terminology. It's not really activate. He's going to give commands. And what commands he's going to give Aquila skirmish. So what that means is he sees Pompey coming. He doesn't like it, and he's going to go ahead and do a skirmish. But because he's doing Aquila, he's actually doing a double skirmish. So what it is you do one skirmish phase, just regular like you do, 1d8 plus your skirmish factor, and then whatever happens, you then do another one. So let's do 1. So Caesar has a 3 skirmish factor, so 1d8 plus 3. So 6, so no effect, no hits. But because he used the Aquila, he gets to do a bonus 1. So he gets to do a second. 3 plus 3, 6, also no effect. Good job, guys. All right, so that was it for these commands. Now he has combined arms, remember, so he can use his cavalry. So what he's going to do is go ahead and activate them for their movement. And he's going to start sending them out there. Why not, right? So he's going to move this up here. Oh, interrupt. So as he moves him here, Pompey has his cavalry. He's going to react. He's going to go ahead and send this cavalry to intercept him. Now he meets up with him. And now that they're adjacent, he's not going to be able to move anymore. His movement is done. Same thing here. He's going to move. He will go ahead and intercept him here. He will move here. He will intercept. Caesar's going to go ahead and send, okay, 1, 2, 3. Boom, he's going to intercept. 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, you can move adjacent as well. So, and I didn't explain this earlier, foot units can only move, I think it's orthodontally. Is that what it's called? Or is that a tooth thing? I don't know. Anyway, basically, up, down, left, right. Right? Like, it's just basically super simple. Cavalry can actually move, through the corners here. So they can move. So if you're in the middle here, you can move any square. If you're in a foot unit, you can only move left, right, up, down. So simple, right? Okay. All right, this cavalry 1, 2, 3. And he'll go ahead and move there and stop there. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nope, so you can't intercept. Okay, and they're going to go ahead and stop there at that line. Now, they are adjacent, so they're going to go ahead and do a charge combat. Fairly simple. All you're doing is you are checking for, there is the sort of attacker, and then he's going to roll depending on how many diamonds, or if there are diamonds, what he rolls. So he's charging against cavalry, 0 diamonds. So let's start with the left, work our way right. So what I'm going to do is mark it kind of with this. So he has no diamonds. He's going to be attacking this cavalry right here, which with no diamonds, he rolls a 1d8. And then what happens is, if he has, he rolls an 8. Let me start at the beginning here. I'm sorry. I'm confusing myself for a second. So 0 diamonds versus 0 diamonds is what you're going to look at right here. So that means he's going to roll a 1d8. If he rolls a 1, he's exhausted, which he will be eliminated. Or if he rolls an 8 plus, it'll be a hit. I know you're like, well, he only has a 1d8. It's rolling 8 plus. It's probably not going to be a hit. You're right. It's probably not. Cavalry, especially in this battle, in this era, we're not necessarily going toe-to-toe, fighting it out, right? It was a lot of like charging each other, a little bit of skirmishing, a little bit of fighting, and then they would disengage. So 4, no effect, right? Now you have a 2 diamond. He's going to attack him. He has 2 diamonds. So he has, because he has more diamonds, first of all, because he has 2 diamonds, he has to roll 2 dice. And second, because he has more diamonds than his opponent, he gets a +2 to each die roll. See, now you can see where, hey, the more experienced, the better equipped cavalry are going to do more damage. So 2d8 +2 on each die roll. So a 3 +2 is 5, so no effect. 8, boom, plus, it's already a natural 8, +2. Doesn't matter at that point. He goes ahead and he exhausts, which eliminates because the opposite side will be an elephant. So the horse is not turned into an elephant. He is just eliminated. So Caesar's go ahead and take this, and he has, if you look in the top right, 1 victory point worth. So he gets 1 VP here. Nice. All right, and that was this one. So now he will go ahead and fight him. Roll a 1d8. 6, no modifiers, so unfortunately nothing for him. He will go ahead and attack him. He gets no, he doesn't get the +2 because he has actually fewer diamonds, but no negatives or anything. And he has 1 diamond, so he gets 1d8. No modifiers. Oh, an 8. Beautiful. Great job for Caesar's cavalry. So he actually does successfully eliminate this stronger cavalry, which that was him. And then this last one here, actually it'll be 2 more with 1, and he has more than, so he only rolls 1 because he has 1 diamond, but he has more diamonds than the opponent, so he gets a +2. So 1d8 +2. Oh, another elimination. Woo! Kicking butt over here. All right, looking good. So let's go ahead and line these bad boys up. Caesar already has 4 victory points. Living life. And no, he doesn't, his last cavalry doesn't even have an opponent left to fight. So, all right. All right, so went ahead and took care of business there for a little bit. That was pretty nice. So that was part of, you got your combined arms again, right? So that'll go ahead and wraps up Caesar's turn here. Let's go ahead and let it go back to Pompey's turn. Pompey here is going to do another skirmish. Well, should he just do a move or a skirmish move? He wants to close here, but he doesn't like what just happened here, of course. But he will get to move his cavalry this next turn. So he'll go to do a skirmish move with the green wing again. So very similar. Go ahead and do the skirmish, which is just 1d8 plus the 4. 3 plus 4, 5, 6, 7. So no hit there, unfortunately. The movement, remember the second action, still only get to move 2 squares. All right, and then because the combined arms rule is still in effect, Pompey gets to go ahead and give a move command to his cavalry. Not liking what he just saw, he's going to go ahead and send up his boys. He's like, get up there, get up there. So I'm going to go ahead and move 1, which, let's see, 1, I'm trying to think here, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2. Because they're adjacent to him, I don't think they get to activate for the intercept, right? So 1, 2, 2. I think he could if he could. Let's go ahead and so he'll get here, and he's going to go ahead and move up here to intercept. So he's now adjacent because he's in the corner here. He'll go 1, and then he will go ahead 1, 2, 3, and intercept. Actually, 1, 2, 3, and intercept there. He'll move down. 1, 2, 3. He'll intercept there. And I think that'll be it for them. 1, 2, Jason. 1, 2, 3. Because remember, you can only intercept if you're not already adjacent to an enemy. 1, 2. Oh, no, I don't want to move him. I want to move 1, 2. There we go. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. Ooh, it's got messy for Caesars. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, 4. All right. They got a little messy for Caesar's cavalry before they got split up a little bit. Not good for them, but we'll see what happens. So, all right. So obviously Pompey's cavalry, he can go ahead and he's going to start doing some combat here. So let's go ahead and check this first one. We'll attack the adjacent one right there. No diamonds, just a straight 1d8. Miss, no effect. He will attack him. He gets rolled 2d8 because he has 2 diamonds, and because he has more diamonds, he gets a +2 on each die roll. So 7, 5, no effect. Let me go ahead and mark it up so I don't forget. Right here, he will attack the one right in front of him. Just 1d8. No effect there. He will attack adjacent. Oops. Oh, 1. So he is eliminated on the charge. He was eliminated himself, basically, when you roll a natural 1. All right. He will attack him. 1d8, no modifiers, because they both have 1. Oh, 8. Okay, so he does eliminate Caesar's cavalry here. And that was this one right here. he will attack him adjacent. So when he has more, so rolls 1, but he has a +2 because he has more diamonds. 5, no effect. And then we'll just do the last 3, or last 2, I should say, that I can actually attack right across. 1d8, no modifiers. Okay. And then the last guy right here. 1d8, no modifiers. A 1. Oh, he eliminates himself. All right. Whew. Pompey Cavalry getting their butt kicked. All right. For the most part. Although Caesar's Cavalry are spread out and they were fewer. So they're starting off, you know, with fewer cavalry. So, all right. That was it for Pompey, right? Let's go ahead and go back to Caesar's turn here. So Caesar, he wants to get involved a little bit here. He's not exactly loving what's happening. So what he's going to do, he's going to do a... He's going to do put a skirmish move command to his red wing here. And go ahead and do that. So red wing, go ahead and skirmish with green. 1d8 +3. 7, so that is a hit. So now Pompey's green wing has to take a hit. So where's a hit going to take? He can pick wherever he wants, whatever unit he wants in the wing. He's going to go ahead and take this back one here. And, oh, it is brittle, which means it is automatically eliminated. So that's another unit for old Caesar's VP count. So right now, not that it matters, but Caesar has 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 victory points. Pompey only has 2. Uh-oh, not looking so good for old Pompey. All right. And we get a move. So he will move 1, 2. In addition, that actually would be the max he'd be able to move anyway, because he now, remember the skirmish zones, 3, right? 1, 2, 3. Enter the skirmish zone, he has to stop there. So even if he had, say, had been able to move 4 at the time, he only had a movement action, or movement command, excuse me, he'd be stopped there. Okay? Now, you have the, obviously the combined arms, right? So you're going to go ahead and do the cavalry over here. Now they're all of Caesar's cavalry are adjacent to Pompey's cavalry, so there's really no direct like movement he can do. You can see Jason. So basically they're all kind of locked up in combat right now. And that's okay though. That's okay. So let's go ahead and do the first one here. He will attack him. Boom, 1 down. So he gets to roll 1d8. No modifiers. A 1. Oh my god. All right, so eliminated. Bummer. What a fool. All right, and then he will attack him. He gets 2 diamonds, so he gets to roll 2 dice, and 2 diamonds versus 0, so +2 to each roll. That one becomes an 8, so he is eliminated. And finally, he will attack him right here. And no effect. All right, so that is it for them. Now, when we go into the combat phase, excuse me, no combat, obviously, but then we go to victory, right? We check the VPs, and then we go to initiative phase. Instead of going, oh, it's Pompey's turn now, Caesar says, it's time. He's going to use the initiative marker, so he gains this turn. The initiative marker passes to Pompey, but now it's Caesar's turn. And Caesar says, all right, we're done fooling around with these cavalry. We want our guys to show up here. So, as soon as you use that initiative marker, we're going to go ahead and remove all of Caesar's cavalry from play. Excuse me. And remember, they are not eliminated. So they do not count for the victory points. It says that right in the rules. However, you do eliminate all of Pompey's cavalry without the diamonds. So here, here, and here. And elimination does mean Caesar gets the victory points. Just 1 each, but still, it adds up, right? Boom. So now, excuse me, my apologies, by the way. I thought my cold had cleared up. It's been a couple weeks. Now, Pompey just has, the 3 cavalry left. In addition, remember, Caesar's orange wing activates with whatever command he gives to either the pink or red wings. In addition, Pompey no longer has combined arms. So when Pompey does, say, does a skirmish move or a skirmish attack or rally, whatever, he can't also give a move command to his cavalry. Instead, his cavalry has to receive their own command. So definitely hurts Pompey at this point. All right, that was it. Kind of wraps up the resolution here. So now back to Caesar because he used the initiative marker. Now Pompey does have this initiative marker, so it's not all for Caesar. Now Pompey, when he has his turns, he'll be able to, whenever he decides to use it, go ahead and basically take 2 turns in a row. So it's not over yet. Not over yet for old Pompey the Great. But it's Caesar's turn again, and he is going to get to go ahead and do basically whatever he wants at this point. Cavalry are cleared from the field other than some remnants of Pompey's. And Caesar's not too worried about them, trust me. But he does have the advantage of whatever commands he gives to these two wings are also going to go to the orange wing. So I'm thinking he wants to do a skirmish move. He wants to close the red wing with the green. He wants to get in there and know his experienced legionaries are going to inflict some damage. So he's going to go ahead and give a skirmish move command to the red wing. So they will go ahead and skirmish with the green. And now remember the 3 squares of the skirmish zone. So now the green wing is within range of the red wing. So it's going to go ahead and get to do basically two skirmishes, or excuse me, that's not what I meant. It's going to get to do 2 hits if 1 hit would become 2. So I did a terrible job explaining that. Let me just roll. Here, we're within 3 here, plus 3, no other bonuses. Let's see what we get. 5. So didn't matter anyway. If it had been a hit, it would have inflicted 2 hits, not just 1. That's what I was trying to say, but I could barely get out. All right, now we'll go ahead and move. Again, though, remember, we're in the skirmish zone, so what does that mean? It means we can only move 1 square. We can't move 2. We can't move 2 or more. Now, next turn, depending on who moves, and maybe Pompey will activate his green and move up. Who knows? But all they can do is move like that. Boom. So they've not been able to close yet. But remember the special 4th line rule. Caesar now gets to give that command, those same commands, so the skirmish move to his orange wing. So for skirmish, he's going to go ahead and actually try to skirmish. He's going to try to shoot the this horsey guy right here because he's worth 2 VPs, and he's right there. He's kind of in his way a little bit, so he's going to go ahead and shoot at them. Lines up. Go ahead and give us a roll. 1d8 plus 3. 5, 6, 7, 8. Boom. That's a hit. Goes ahead and automatically exhausts him and eliminates him. So boom. Good for old Caesar. Now he gets a move command. He gets to move 2. And what he's going to go ahead and do is right here, they're going to kind of stand by, and he's going to let the semi-hidden, or no longer hidden, I guess I should say, move up to get a little more closer to them. So that way they're going to have a more solid front that they send against the Pompeian forces. So, all right, that is it there. Movement, combat, victory. Not going to be victory yet, although Caesar has, at this point, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 versus 3. 12 VPs versus 3. Remember, Caesar, though, needs 30, and at 30, he needs 5 more to get a victory. So he's not even halfway there. So plenty of battle left ahead. Don't worry for old Pompey. Don't shed any tears for Pompey. Otherwise, that was it for old Caesar. So now it goes over to Pompey's turn. Pompey, a little annoyed at what just happened. He hates to see his forces get routed and, the line show up of extra infantry. He's like, what the heck's going on over here? But he ain't going to sweat it. He's got initiative marker now. He knows he can take 2 turns in a row when he wants to. So what he's going to do, he's going to go ahead and do a skirmish move command to his green wing. He wants them to skirmish with them, which they will do at a +4. 8 plus 4, 12. Just the 8 is enough for a hit. And remember, the red wing is within his skirmish zone, so that means he gets 2 hits. So he gets to inflict 2 hits on old Caesar here. Caesar, not wanting seeing what's about to happen, he kind of has a general idea what's going to happen. You can see that they're approaching him. He's going to go ahead and actually send those, remember, using his special outmatched, special ability. So he's going to send those hits to a different wing. So he's going to go ahead and send 1 here. Oh, brittle. Eliminated. Oh, that didn't pay off. And then he's going to send 1 over here. Exhausted. Okay, no worries, though. Actually, probably should have done it over there. But you know what? Too late now. We made our choice. All right. Now the movement. So Pompey's green wing will go ahead and move. And now they close. Now, when that happens, they now are adjacent. Basically, they're engaged. His front line is engaged. In addition, the skirmish zones are gone. So both sides, now that they're adjacent, those skirmish zones of 3, poof, gone. And they're gone for the rest of the battle. So even if there was space in between, whatever, you can no longer skirmish. Because at this point, you're locked in, man-to-man, Mortal Kombat, right? Like, Mortal Kombat, you are fighting. You're not going to be throwing your Pila. You're going to have your little archers in there, slingers, or anything like that, right? You are now fighting, shield to shield, sword to sword style. So they are locked in combat. Now, that is it for Pompey. Or is it? He is going to go ahead and use his initiative marker. Boom. Sending it back to Caesar. And he says, we ain't done here. We're going to engage in some combat over here. So what he's going to do, and it's a little bit unfortunately for him because he doesn't have an Aquila marker. He can't put it with his combat to make his combat better. And he can't do a skirmish anymore, remember, because the skirmish zones are gone and there's no need for a rally. So it's a little bit of a waste in the sense that he can't do anything special, but he wanted to get that combat in first. He wanted to get, you know, the first kind of attack because you really have the advantage when you're on the offensive versus the defensive. Okay, here is the combat. Let's go ahead, see how combat works in this game. 2 foot units fighting. We've already seen cavalry skirmishing over here, right? Doing their charges back and forth. Let's see how it works for foot units. All right, so what you do during combat is, you know, you get to choose a primary attacker, and then you choose a defender. Any of the fresh units belonging to the acting wing, so in this case, the green wing, right, that are adjacent to the primary attacker or the defender can serve as a support. And that's going to give you pluses on the CRT. The defending unit, you know, if it's flanked, there's going to be bad news there, which we're not seeing any flanked, right? It's basically a straight line right now. But as the defender, you can actually, if you get hit even, you can actually send that result to an adjacent unit, depending. And if you are exhausted already, you have to send it to a fresh unit because you basically can't be eliminated if there's a fresh unit next to you. So anyway, let's go ahead, and I'm going to use little cubes for markers. And again, I think I mentioned before, but these cubes do not come with the game. I have a bunch of different cubes that I just use with it. It just helps me to keep track. So what we're going to do, we're going to have this heavy infantry attack that one, and he's going to be a primary attacker. I'm going to put that cube on there. And to show his support, I'm going to show this one. Well, should I do just the other ones? You know what? We're just going to do, actually, behind him and to his flank, those are 2 support units. He's attacking him, so I'm going to go ahead and put a little cube on there to show that's who he's attacking. Here's how you do combat. Pretty simple. You go ahead, and I will have the unit type modifier matrix pop up right now. You have an attacking unit, you have a defending unit. Attacking in this case is heavy infantry versus defending heavy infantry. There's no modifier. So going forward, there aren't going to be any modifiers with combat in this particular game. But you can see there'll be cases of, say, you have heavy infantry, attacking light infantry, they get a -1, which that's good. The lower the better, FYI. The lower the better on the roll. So minuses are good, pluses are bad. Light infantry, you can see they kind of suck against everybody. Heavy infantry, good against light infantry, okay against heavy, not maybe as good as like phalanxes and cavalry, etc. So in this case, because it is heavy versus heavy, there are no modifiers on the unit for unit type, so that is ignored basically. You do get your modifiers, your negative in a good way, for support. So because we're attacking with 1, we have support of 1, 2 units, so that's -2, so -1 per support. And if we had to use the Aquila, which we can't because Pompey doesn't have it, but say it was Caesar's combat, the Aquila would give another -1 to every combat. So total of -2. Now we check the CRT, the combat class, and then we go ahead and roll. So for combat class, he is a B. There's no extra modifiers. If he was being flanked, if he was flanking the defender, it would raise his combat class by 1. So that B would become an A. And remember, the combat class is on the unit itself. It'd become an A if there was a flank. Or if the defender was exhausted, it would go up. Or, there's different factors like that. In this case, it's kind of just toe-to-toe, but he does have support from some adjacent units of his, so he's going to get a -2 on his roll. So let's check the B roll. Roll a 1d8. 7, not good. -2 is 5. So look at B, go check to 5, EX, exchange. So both sides are going to take a hit. So let's go ahead and do the defender. Oh, he's a hero. Hero unit right here. See, he's got the little star. Okay, so he's flipped over to his hero side, and he can never rally back to his, non-hero side. And now the Pompey, boom, he is just exhausted. Now, what we're going to do, because he doesn't want to take that hit, he's going to go ahead and send it to the unit behind him. And now he is exhausted. Basically, that support unit takes the hit. Let me go ahead and, let's see. Yep, I just want to make sure. So the attacker or any unit that provides support can take the hit. So he's going to go ahead and do that. And reveal the hero unit. Okay, and hero units, they're a big target, actually. So they're strong. They're really good. If you look at that CRT, right, you can see that they have the best combat class. So they're good in the attack, but they're a good target because if they're eliminated, they're worth 4 victory points each. So they're worth double what even a regular infantry would be. So, all right, now we'll do the next combat here. Let's do this heavy infantry is going to go ahead and he'll have 2 support, by the way. And he will target the infantry right in front of him. So just like the last one, basically, very similar. You know, they're both heavy infantry, so no modifiers there. He has 2 supports. That's a -2. Checking on the B row of the CRT. You can see how simple it is, right? Once you figure it out, it's very simple. So 4 -2 is 2. Checking on the B, that's DX. That is Defender exhausted. He's going to go ahead and, let's see, Defender. Who can take it? Any friendly unit that is adjacent may take the result. So he's going to go ahead and set it to the back one here. Boom. And he is exhausted. Okay. All right. And that's it. And those are the only units that were, you know, adjacent to each other, able to fight. And obviously the other ones provided support. That's it. They can only participate in combat once, like most games, right? You can only usually do 1 combat with a unit, either as the attacker or as a defender. And that is it. So you saw how the combat worked. You're taking, you know, you have your front units fighting. You know, Caesar took 1 hit here, which converted his, or flipped the unit over and revealed a hero, I should say, and converted, revealed a hero. He then took an additional hit, but he took it back here, right into adjacent fresh unit. He's able to kind of maintain the front integrity of his line. And then with Pompey here, he took the 1 hit on the first exchange. He took it back here, you know, revealed an exhausted unit. And then he didn't take any hits here because it was his attack. He rolled really well. So that's it for the actual, that's the combat. That's the foot combat. So now it would go back, you know, he runs through, again, finish up, victory phase. No, Caesar's got a lot of VPs, but not enough to win. Initiative phase, Pompey no longer has the initiative. You know, he gave it to Caesar. Remember, he did the second attack. This was second turn in a row. And now it goes to Caesar's turn. So what you would do here is back and forth, continue. And I'm stopping this video now. I will continue this battle, though, in an additional video. So check that out, part 2, if you want to see the resolution of this battle. But I figured this is enough. This gets you guys, you know, the idea of how the units work, the setup, how, you know, cavalry with infantry. And if I made a mistake, I apologize. You'll see the correction below in the comments, you know, whether Amabel posts corrections or someone else points out something I made a mistake. Well, you'll see that down in the comments below. Otherwise, hopefully this video alone gives you a good idea of kind of how the game works, you know, the different facets of it, movement, skirmishing, combat. Again, you saw some cavalry, you saw some infantry fighting, you know, you can see how things all play off each other, the kind of, like, you give commands to wings, and there's things I didn't do that you haven't seen yet. I don't think you get to see, so I mentioned before, say with Caesar, you know, if he does Aquila, because he has it in this particular battle, he's only with Aquila marker, it just adds an additional. So it could be I'm going to do an Aquila skirmish, right? Remember I mentioned before, you get to do 2 skirmishes in a row. Or say I want to do Aquila combat here, which is, he may do that next turn. You may see that in the part 2 video. That would be a case where Caesar sends a Aquila combat command to the Red Wing. Well, now they get to launch an attack with an additional -1 on every attack. So it's not 2 attacks or anything like that. It's still just, you know, 1 per whatever, however you figure it. But they'll get a -1 in addition to any, you know, minuses for support. And remember, minuses are good. So, or you can do where you use an Aquila marker and you can actually go ahead and pair 1 command with it to issue it to all the foot wings. However, and this is a key, and by the way, this is something that I want to mention quick because this is part of it, big part of the game, and this is part of with the leaders as well that I forgot to mention. Another reason they're so strong or so important, right, as part of the game, both as attack and defense. So say you do Aquila marker and I do, I don't know, at this point it maybe wouldn't make as much sense, but say I do movement. I could send it to all my wings. Now, maybe there's red is not a whole lot of movement. You know, maybe I want to move these guys up. Maybe. It just depends. We would see. But say I'm doing it for all my wings, right? I want to send this command to all my wings. Now I get to go ahead and move all these guys. So these, you know, the the pink wing, the orange wing gets to go ahead and move 4. We want to get them close. We want to get them engaged, right? Kind of like a charge. Think of it like a charge. And I can send it to all of my wings. However, because I'm doing such a powerful command, right? I'm sending that same command to everybody. The rally limit would go down. So every time you do an Aquila with a command to every wing, your rally limit goes down. And it starts at 4 here. You can see 4 to 0. So say it goes to 3. Okay, because I do it to everybody. Everybody moves up. And then the next turn we're fighting, and Pompey is able to kill my hero. Now, I'm not going to let him die right away. He's got fresh units adjacent. They would definitely take hits. But say he gets him dead and he kills him. Not only is it worth 4 victory points, because he's a hero or leader unit, right? Kind of the same thing. It actually reduces the rally by 1 again. So you can see now the rally, it's down to 2 from 4. If it ever gets to 0, the opponent wins automatically. With victory points, you're actually checking your opponent's victory points during your turn. So what I mean by that is if it is ending, say this time we ended Pompey's turn, he checks victory points for Caesar. So like Caesar would check his VPs to see if he wins. I just knocked everything over. When it's the end of Caesar's turn, he checks Pompey's, or Pompey checks his VPs to see if he wins. Does that make sense? So you kind of get one extra turn to try to catch up. Other than that, I think that covers the basics. There are elephants in the game. We're on the opposite side of the old cavalry here, so we did not do any elephants. This is a, strictly foot and cavalry combat, but that's okay. If I don't explain that one little part of the game, I feel comfortable with that. Other than that, if you have any questions, again, if I made any mistakes, please point them out. That's what we're learning, right? This is a learning game. I feel a pretty good solid handle on the rules at this point. I've played through this scenario probably 10 times. I set up and played another scenario a couple times, but I really like this one, Pharsalus 48 BCE, just because, I don't know, it's a good feel. Have a lot of fun, Caesar versus Pompey. Who doesn't like that? But hope you guys enjoyed the video. If any questions, please post below. And if you're looking forward to the part 2, if you want to see more, see how this battle plays out, I will play it to the end until we get a victor. But I just wanted to make it a separate video because I figured, hey, no harm in that. So, all right, guys, thank you for watching. And until next time, later.